Guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Liz and this is Let's Get Lizicle, where we do everything card making. Today is day 2 of my holiday card series, and we're going to be doing a fun idea I've had in my head for quite a while, using my Sassy Santa stamp set. So what we're going to be doing is kind of like an inside-outside card, and what I mean by that is we are going to cut a window on the front of the card base in the shape of the full Santa. We're gonna have to color a happy face and a sassy Santa. On the outside, we're gonna put naughty or nice. On the inside, it will say I will be the judge of that. And then on the in-between layers, like I'm gonna put acetate over this cutout so that we can suspend the happy Santa on the outside, and then when you flip it up, it's judgmental Santa on the inside. Which I thought would be a fun idea to try. So we'll be doing that for today. So stay tuned. I will flip over to my voiceover and you can see how this card comes together. Hey guys, voiceover Liz here. So like I said, we're going to make this into like a window card, but it's kind of like a surprise as to what's inside, because we'll be covering part of the image up. So I'm gonna start by stamping a repeat pattern in the background, kind of. So I guess it's not repeat. I'm stamping the background with just these like coal pieces. They're all like slightly different sizes, but if you throw 3 of them on an acrylic block and then just start rotating and stamping, you can get a quick and easy patterned background in a few minutes. I think this took me like literally a couple minutes. Like right now I'm on like 45 seconds of voiceover and I'm almost done, so times that by 3. So yeah, a couple minutes just to do the background, and it just added a little bit of, you know, interest and texture. It doesn't have to be perfect. We are going to be cutting a portion of this out, which you'll see here in a second. I'm just making sure that my panel is squared off with my card. Sometimes papers aren't exactly 8.5 by 11, so when you go to trim them, I usually make sure that they are the correct size. Sometimes you need to trim off just like a sliver and it becomes perfect, but it's worth it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the Sassy Santa like full body die out of this matte layer that we'll be adding to the card, and then I will cut it out of the card base itself because we want the window to show through from the outside to the inside. So how I'm going to do that, and you'll see that here in a second, is I'm going to cut it out of the matte layer first. Then I'm going to place it on, and then I'm kind of like putting the die back in, but I'm going to trace around with a pencil. I think I saw this on Kate's channel a long time ago, and I was like, okay, that's like super smart to like trace the inside of your die and then reposition it where you need to, because my die cutting machine is not going to cut through all these layers. Some will, mine does not. But you can try to run it through with both layers just to also leave that impression, and then replace it and cut it out that way. I found using the pencil was fine because I'm drawing on the portion I don't need anyway, and I could actually save that as like a matting layer, not a matting layer, but like an extra layer for another card in the future, and like just to give it a little bit more stability, or layer it up instead of using foam tape, that kind of thing. So you can save this piece. You could also erase the pencil lines and stamp on it afterwards if you wanted to, and use it that way. So you don't have to get rid of it, but it also just depends on what kind of tape you're using, because the washi tape that I use from Lawn Fawn always rips my paper, but I usually place it in a way that it doesn't matter. It's usually not paper portions that I'm using. And then I also thought I would kind of like add this strip here just to help ground Santa a little bit, and I'm cutting that out as well because I don't want that to cover up the window. I didn't need to necessarily layer it out as precisely as I did, but I probably, if I was going to do this again, I would probably cut it a little bit more to the like right side there, just so I had a little bit of overhang on each side so I could trim it off. I think this ended up being a little bit crooked because I did try to just place it so that the left side was flush with the panel, and it just is a little bit off, which I didn't notice until I was editing photos. But yeah, and then this is optional, but I just took a similar green marker to the Noble Fur cardstock from Lawn Fawn here, and then just traced the inside so that it didn't look so stark white. And it looks like I kind of like paper piece those panels together in a sense. And then I'm going to be adding the acetate to the back of this Santa, and then once that's done I can add this to the front of the card. I probably again should have done this later because I need to place the full Santa in that same position on the inside of the card, but there is a bit of a hack around that, and I will show that to you in a bit when we get to that portion. But I'm like, right now I'm starting off with the card base, and then I'm going to work on the images and then finish the card off. That's sometimes how I work, sometimes I don't. It varies. It really depends on which portions of the card I really want to work on, and I really wanted to get this portion done and out of the way so that I could just like decorate the card basically. And for this layer I'm going to be using a mixture of double-sided tape and liquid adhesive just to make sure that this panel is good. Again, I've had, you know, not so good luck with these dry adhesives in the past with it doing cardstock to cardstock. So I usually only use it when I'm doing like an acetate project, and I decided to use liquid glue just to give it a little bit more stability because the double-sided tape does dry out after a while. These are just cheap ones I bought on Amazon too, so I don't know if that matters. I have made some cards with the, I think it's Pink and Maine Easy Tear tape that I got from one of my subscribers, and I'm not sure if it also happens with that tape or not, and it just happens with like the cheap tapes you buy on Amazon, or if it happens with every tape. I'm assuming every tape eventually dries out, and then your projects might come apart after a few years. I have had that happen before where I've had cards sitting in my stash for a few years and like the tape just fully dried out, and then I had to glue the panels together, which is fine as a quick fix. But if I don't have to do it twice, it's better not to do it twice. So glue and tape for this one. And then again, we're just coloring in the images. You just need one full-bodied Santa and then the like happy Santa head to go on top. And again, we'll be placing the full-bodied Santa on the inside, but you'll still see the body through the acetate layer that I put on the front of the card. And then the happy face Santa will go on the front, suspended on the acetate, so he looks like a happy Santa on the front of the card, but then when you open the card it will be sassy Santa. It's like Santa's kind of questioning whether you're naughty and nice in a joking way, and then he gets all serious on the inside and he's like, and I'll be the judge of that. So that was my thought process behind this card and my little bit of storytelling there. And we're just doing, again, quick and simple coloring. I don't use any more than 2 colors in a blended area. I use one lighter, one darker. I usually use darker color first, go over it with the lighter color just to help blend it into the lighter color, and then that's pretty much it. Also, when I color fur on Santa, like the fur trims on his hat and his coat and everything, I usually use cool grays for that, and then I'll use warm grays for his beard, just so that there's difference that you can tell in both texture and in color, because you don't want everything to be shaded either in warm grays or light grays. It just makes it look more like they are 2 different materials, which they are. One is hair, one is fur or faux trim or whatever it is. But giving them the 2 different grays helps differentiate between those 2 textures and the 2 different materials, quote unquote, for lack of a better word. But yeah, so I will speed on through this coloring, play a little music, and then I'll come back to you once it's done, because it's going to take a minute. Okay, so now that I've colored and cut these out using the coordinating dies, I will start placing them on my card. So again, we're gonna add Santa on the inside, and I should do this before the acetate's done, but if you are doing it, you kind of place it inside like this on the inside, and then add your glue and then close the back of the card onto the front of the card to help pick it up, and it puts it in the correct position for you. So just a trick if you're doing this similar technique. It doesn't always work for every technique, but like for this one it will. Like if you're doing it on a shaker card where you've already put like the foam tape on it, obviously it wouldn't work, but if you're doing it like flat like this, it's fine. And then we're gonna add the face on the outside, and then you can see that when you open and close it, it's Happy Santa, Sassy Santa. And then just to cover that glue on the head from the front, I'm just cut an extra layer of the white cardstock, and we're just gonna place it on the inside here just to clean it up a little bit, making sure you put the glue on the front facing portion, because if you put it on the back like you normally would to glue on something on the card, then it's going to be wrong because you want to make sure that it layers correctly. And then the last thing we need to do is add sentiments to this. So again, I'll be the judge of that will be on the inside of the card, and I am stamping that using Noble Fur from Lawn Fawn to coordinate with the Noble Fur cardstock that I used. And then on the outside, we're going to put the bigger, naughty or nice sentiment, and I'm going to ink blend that kind of in like a red to black gradient. I like how it looks because I tried it last year, and it gives it a bit more of a dramatic look to it as opposed to just stamping it in red. You could just use red and like a darker red as well and make it a little less obvious of a gradient. But I really like the red with the black, so I stamped the top of the sentiment and then kind of faded it out towards the bottom, and then I do the same with the black going from the bottom up, and I don't have like a brush handy with that, so I just use a microfiber cloth, and then I'm going to go over the entire thing with the red again. It just helps blend it a little bit, I find. So I like to go back and forth when I'm doing a two-tone sentiment like this. And it was still a little bit wet because it was a little oversaturated with all of the ink. The positively saturated ink cubes are very juicy, especially when you just get them. And this was part of the new red set that I got. So it was extremely juicy, and it just didn't want to dry as quickly as it normally does. So I just made sure I put another piece of paper underneath it when I was die cutting it, so that at least the ink would transfer onto the paper and not my cutting plate, so that it doesn't mess up my next project. And then I'm just going to play around with the placement here, but ultimately it ends up here besides Santa's face. I think it was a little bit crooked, potentially because the green was a little bit crooked, but again, it's not too noticeable, so it doesn't bother me that much, and only you guys know now. So hopefully whoever gets this card is not watching this video. But anyway, that's pretty much our card for today, guys. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, and let me know your thoughts. Would you try making a card like this? I think it was kind of fun because you get like two different vibes out of the card. It starts off like super fun and joyful, and then goes super serious on the inside, but like in a funny way. But yeah, so anyway, let me know down in the comments. Also, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe because I'd love to have you here, and make sure you follow me over on Instagram and or Facebook so you get additional content in between days. I will try to post as much as possible with additional content. But yeah, so thanks again for joining me for today, guys. Stay tuned for Friday's video. I hope you guys are having a good week, and until next time, thanks guys. Bye.